Welcome to Stay in the Fun podcast. This is where we guide you to stay in the fun, right? For your whole life. Our premise here is based on a 3-part master plan for active aging developed by me, your host, Dr. Paul Meyer. I'm board certified in chiropractic orthopedics, and I have over 40 years of experience in private practice as well as I own a fitness center. So today is our second episode, and unfortunately there's no video. So nonetheless, we're going to be discussing some of the 3 steps necessary for you to stay in the fun as you age. My 3-step master plan includes fitness, nutrition, and mobility. Each of these areas, these steps, are important in ensuring you stay in the fun, ensuring that your life, you can enjoy your life as you age. That's the whole premise here. It's not to prolong your life necessarily, but yes, in some instances it might. But to get the most enjoyment, allow you to be the most active as you're getting older. Now, last podcast, or first one that we did, I explained how I got started in active aging and discussing having a heart attack a number of years ago. We covered what the events were and how the situation played out. Well, between last week's podcast and this week's one, I experienced another heart attack. No kidding, I really did. So today, what I'd like to do is go over what happened to me last week and kind of the hows and whys of the decisions I made so that I could be here doing this podcast. I'm at home now, do this podcast with you. And hopefully you'll learn what to look out for and what to do should you find yourself in a similar situation. So in doing this, I'm also going to cover some of the signs and the symptoms of a heart attack. So I was at the gym, I was on a piece of cardio equipment, and I was working on a project for metabolic exercise group training. So I had discovered some research that showed us to be more efficient and more effective in a shorter period of time to get a better result in our challenges that we do at our gym, and also we have personal training and other things there. And this is a way that we want to kind of incorporate so everyone gets a higher, better, quicker result. So with every kind of exercise program, we start out with some sort of warm-up, and that's what I was doing. I was on a cardio machine, and literally I was only on there about 5 minutes, just kind of moving along. And literally, the day before, I did the same exact exercise for the same amount of time. So I get off of the exercise machine, and for some reason, I am really breathing hard. Hard breathing. Difficult to get my breath, difficult to get satiated. In other words, you know how if you jog, you're out of breath, but I wasn't even jogging on here, I was just warming up. So the amount of air that I was trying to get was unproportional to the amount of exercise I gave. So that was my first warning. Why am I breathing so hard? It was difficult to get my breath. And yeah, there's a little bit of tension in my chest. Now I started to get a little tingle down my left arm, which is normal for me because I've got a disc problem in my neck, and there are times when I'll get some tingling going down my arm. So I'm sitting there going, this isn't right. Something's not right. I'm out of breath. What's going on? And now I have this tingling. And then the sweat came. Now, when I had a heart attack before, one of the doctors had told me that the sweating is kind of a significant sign. Well, you would think 5 minutes of warm-up that I would be sweating, but it's a different kind of sweat. It's almost like a hot flash. If you were a woman in menopause, you have this hot flash, and you just feel this warmth go across your body. So I felt that, and I'm now forced to sit down. I think that's important to realize. I didn't yesterday, the day before I did this, I did the same exact warm-up, got off the machine, and I was fine. I just went on to the next exercise. But that night, it forced me to sit down. and that's not right. That's not normal. And so when you're contemplating what's going on in your body, you have to ask yourself questions like, is this a normal response? Because all of a sudden, you have to kind of become that decision maker. You have to figure out why your body's doing what it's doing. So when the sweat came, when the hot flash came over my body, and now the sweat started pouring off my forehead, I had to make a decision. Am I having a heart attack, or is this just, I don't know. It's just I overdid it. So here's how this works. Every single time you think you're having a heart attack, go to the emergency room. Every single time you think you might be having a heart attack, go to the emergency room. We had a neighbor one time who had chest pains. The ambulance came. He said, "No, I don't want to pay for an ambulance. Go away. I'll be fine." And he died later that night. Anytime you all. And so even in my 30s, I had chest pain a time or two, went to the emergency room, and it wasn't a heart attack. So I'm sitting there at the gym going, and I'm in a room by myself. I'm in the annex of our gym. So since I'm the owner, I got access to this. Nobody else is in there. I'm just in there by myself. I got the sweat. I'm still having some difficulty breathing, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better. And it's like, do I go? Do I not go? And then I remembered, yes, you always go. Whenever you think you might need to go, you go. So I went. Now, that's a mistake again. I should have dialed 911 and waited for the ambulance. But again, the hospital wasn't too far away, so I drove myself there. But I picked the wrong hospital. It had an emergency room, but it didn't have a cardiac center. And so if I had called 911, they wouldn't have taken me to that emergency room. They would have taken me to another one. So I should have called 911, and you should do that too, because that saved me. I got to the emergency room about 7:30, and it was about 5 hours before I got to the other hospital. So I get to the emergency room. I walk in. I say I'm having chest pain. They come get me. They do an EKG, and they're, well, you kind of all right. And so then they did blood work, looking for cardiac enzymes. When you have a heart attack, the enzymes, the tissue breaks down and dumps some enzymes into your bloodstream, and that's a way to tell if you're having a heart attack. So they did blood work. It comes back normal. The nurse comes in and says, "Boy, you got really good blood work." It's like, okay, so maybe this pain I have in my chest, and now it's not the whole chest. It's just about the size of a quarter, and it's sitting in there, and it hurts, but it's about a 2 or 3 level. She says, "Your blood work looks good. Your EKG, it's not so bad." And so I'm sitting there, but I'm in kind of some pain. So they gave me some morphine, and I'm just kind of sitting there. Well, then they waited about an hour and a half, and they ran an EKG again. And the doctor is, this isn't good. It's not exactly how he said it, but he says, "This isn't good." They did blood work again, and now you could see the enzymes were now into my bloodstream. So I had to get on an ambulance, go to another hospital, of which they had a team there that are on call just for these specific things. So basically what the doctor at the ER room said, you're going to need to have this checked out. You're going to need to have a catheter put in your artery, and then check your heart, put a dye in there. It's called an angiogram. Check your heart out. You're going to need to do that tomorrow. And then when he saw the next blood work, he goes, "No, you're going to need to do that tonight." Because basically what I did was I failed a stress test. When I was on that piece of cardio equipment, I had failed the stress test. That's a stress test. And I had all these symptoms, and so they call it a catheter lab. And so about 2:30 that morning, I'm in the cath lab. The whole team is in there, and they end up putting 3 stents in my arteries of my heart. And 3 days in the hospital, came home, and then now I guess my job is to rebuild my heart strength. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on and about how I manage myself in the emergency room. But at this time, I think what we want to do is quickly talk about our wonderful sponsors. I know, but somebody's paying for this. And that's the Meyer Chiropractic Center, and that is Workout Anytime in South Arlington. So those are our two sponsors. Meyer Chiropractic Center is located at 5520 South Cooper Street in Arlington, Texas. We're next to Dickey's Barbecue, about a mile south of I-20. We concentrate on spinal disc conditions, low back pain with leg pain and numbness, things like that, neck pain that radiates into your arm. Just imagine the skill necessary to treat these life-altering conditions without drugs and without surgery. Our first consultation at our office is free, and our phone number is 817-GOT-PAIN. Pretty clever, right? 817-468-7246. Now, our other sponsor is our fitness and coaching center called Workout Anytime in South Arlington. We are just off Highway 287 and Sublette Road. So we're in the south, below 20. We are a results-based gym. I know what gym isn't, but we have our gym and a coaching facility for weight loss, increased stamina, and vitality. We have a successful 6-week challenge there. We can start you on your journey to improve your body. So give us a call there. Check us out there. That phone number is 817-563-9000. 817-563-9000. All right, so we're back at the hospital in the emergency room. And the doctor there looks at me and he says, "How you feeling? What's your pain level?" And I said, "It's about a 2, a 10. And I'm just kind of sitting there waiting. They're doing blood work every so often, doing an EKG every so often. He's like, "Man, you're pretty calm." I said, "Well, it is what it is." He goes, I wasn't even on oxygen. I wasn't gasping for air. We'd think with a heart attack you would have stuff like that. And I was really in not great distress. And why was that? Why do you think that is? Well, last week we talked about the reason to exercise. If you can't out-exercise your diet, why do you even bother to exercise? And you do that to build muscle, but you also do it to build strength in your heart. And not only strength, but to improve the circulation in your heart. So let's talk a little bit about that. In your heart, or anywhere in the body really, you have arteries. Now, arteries carry oxygen from the heart to the body. The artery then becomes a smaller tube called an arteriole, and then a smaller tube called a capillary. Then at the capillary level, the body exchanges oxygen and nutrients with the different cells, and then the capillary picks back up the waste products, the carbon dioxide and the other waste products. Then you have venules, small veins, and then carries it back to the heart, runs it through the lungs, reoxygenates the blood, and then the process starts all over again. So in your heart, you have arteries, and you have arterioles, and you also have capillaries. The more that heart is exercised, systematically, the more it is exercised, there's going to be a greater demand for oxygen and nutrients in those tissues. And what happens is those arterioles become bigger. And now they become arteries. And some of the capillaries get bigger and become arterioles. And the circulation then, the piping, the tubing in the heart gets bigger, better, and more. So now you have a whole lot of plumbing pipe feeding the different cells of the heart. So what happens is when you get a plug in one of those arteries, you have enough circulation, they call that collateral circulation, that can go around it and feed the tissue. And so the damage becomes very minimum. And then when you come in and open those up, like when they put the stents in, which are tubes that they put in the arteries to open them up, then you're back to normal circulation. Now, I tell you all of this because I want you to understand that this is all part of the aging process. And the more you're in tune to your body and you understand what's going on, then the less likely you're going to have major damage when it happens. I'm writing this book called Stay in the Fun, believe it or not, right? A 3-step master plan for active aging. And one of the chapters or paragraphs gets down into what's bad about aging, what's the downside of aging. So let me just read you a short excerpt from it. The downside of aging. First of all, you will get sick. Sorry, I didn't make the rules. But you will have some ailments that require money, that will take up your time, that will restrict your ability to do things, and that will cause you pain and frustration both mentally and physically. Your ailments will take money out of your pocket. Co-pays, deductibles, non-covered services, medication, etc. all will pull money from your nest egg. The earlier you understand this, the better you can prepare. Saving for this financial hit as you age will help alleviate this burden. A medical savings account may be a good idea. Have a savings account that each month you allot 10% or more of your income and deposit it into this account. Pandemics of recent years, right, took a toll on the elderly and those less prepared or exposed. But there's even a better, cheaper solution to this situation, and that is prepare your body, keep it as healthy as possible, so if you do get sick, your illness will have a minimum effect on you. So that's kind of what you're looking for. You're going to have these assaults on your body. You want it to be a minimum damage. And so when you're exercising, when you're moving, when you're eating things, if you can focus your attention on what are the things that are going to help strengthen my body, what are the things that are going to keep me with the least amount of damage, then when you do get these insults, like I had a heart attack, like you might have fallen down the steps or some other thing, you have minimum damage. You'll recover faster, and that's how you stay in the fun longer. Preparation for what's to come is one of the biggest choices you can make. I was in a lot better shape this time when I had this attack. I was overweight, yeah. I wasn't watching what I was eating as well, but I don't think the damage was intense. And I think being better shaped this time really helped pay off. I really think it saved a lot of damage. Preparation for what's to come is one of the biggest choices you can make because cardiovascular disease is a major component of survival rate. Doing the things necessary to protect yourself will pay off in the long run. So that's it for today. I want to thank you all for listening. We're going to, in the weeks ahead, talk a little bit more about nutrition and blood pressure and exercise activities and things that will help prepare your body, keep you active, enjoying life, so you can stay in the fun.